Hello, BIOL1001. Welcome to week 12. We are moving into a new unit, Unit 5. We're starting with Unit 5.1. And this whole unit, Unit 5, is all about ecology and biodiversity. So we're starting off the unit with a introduction to sort of two major fundamental components of biodiversity and ecology, and that is the population. So we're going to be looking at two big chapters this week. This is a big, there's a lot of information this week, so strap in. The first chapter is chapter 15, and that goes over sort of the genetics of populations. This is what we know of as population genetics. And this is all about sort of how populations differentiate over time. So basically, we have a large population of a species, and then that population is broken up into these smaller populations. Maybe they live on two different sides of the river. In the book, it's examples of mice populations spread out over a city. And over time, those populations, if they don't share genes through gene flow, through either migration or reproduction, they start to diverge. And that's the basis from which we get new species. And that process is called speciation. So in chapter 15, we're really linking this idea of how populations change over time, i.e. evolve, with this idea of the formation of new species, i.e. Darwin's origin of species. That's what we're really getting at there. And sort of the underlying barriers that prevent two nascent species or new species from coming back together. Those are reproductive isolation barriers, reproductive barriers. So you'll learn a little bit about that. And this is actually what I study. So I went to graduate school for, was speciation biology in a little plant called sea rocket. So this is really my wheelhouse. If you have any questions or just general interest in this subject, please feel free to contact me. I'm happy to, share my dissertation with you, but that's certainly not required reading. And then the second chapter, chapter 21, is all about population ecology. So this is really how we understand populations sort of in the now. How do populations change from one generation to the next in terms of their size? So we'll be looking at population growth, rates of growth, overall size of the population, what's the carrying capacity of a species in a given environment, and then how do those two processes, population growth and carrying capacity, relate to the biology of a given species, i.e. its life history. Okay, so those are the two major components of this week. All of it relates to kind of, the fundamental unit of ecology and evolution, which is the population. So you have your reading, your quiz, your essential questions. You got to get done with your group. And then for the lab, don't forget the lab. You're moving on with the Serengeti Snapshot project. So last week you submitted your individual drafts. This week you're going to review your peers. So you were each assigned two drafts from one of your peers. Sorry, two peers, two drafts. You need to provide feedback and comments on both of those. And so there is a rubric you need to follow when you're providing this feedback. And the key to providing useful feedback is constructive criticism, okay? If you find something wrong or something confusing, give them a suggestion for how they can improve it. Don't just say this was confusing, okay? That's really essential to being a good peer in the scientific process. And of course, there's a little module you want to watch that will give you some more suggestions on how to be a successful or a very useful or good peer reviewer. But in general, it's just the idea of being helpful, okay? So identify potential issues, but provide positive feedback on how they can improve. All right. And of course, if you have any questions, please email me. All right. Have a good week. Happy Thanksgiving.